What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome to another game review, and this time I will be reviewing the Book of Unwritten Tales 2. Not entirely sure what happens if I press continue game right now, because I completed the whole storyline of the game. But in any case, this was one of those games that I played a fair bit as I... Oh, okay. Played it a fair bit as I was just editing videos and doing stuff like that. Multitasking, you know? It's a simple enough game that it'll let you do that kind of thing. And it also generally doesn't do too much unless you know, act upon the game. But, so it's kind of one of those old, like, point-and-click adventure type things. There's a certain story to it, obviously, and, but yeah, it's just a matter of interacting in a certain way with the environment and whatnot, and
I have to stop it.
Yeah, whatever. This was a kind of annoying scene to come in on, just cause, like, it's just gonna completely interrupt everything all the time. Because it's supposed to be like, you know, oh, it's a really urgent situation. Climb to the right side. Maybe then it won't be so bad. But yeah, so basically the old point-and-click adventure type thing. And it does occasionally give you items that you carry around that can help you with your needed interactions in the game.
Hey! Stop that!
I
Trying to kill us all?
in order to eventually get through this, to be quite honest, I kind of had to, I had to look up what needed to be done at certain times. Because, as with any decently challenging one of these point-and-click type games, yeah, any of these kinds of games, it's not always obvious. Okay.
Hey, stop that! Are you trying to kill us all?
Alright. So for this section, I'm pretty sure I would need to go back to the middle, let it rotate once or twice more, and then pull the lever, I think. I'm gonna try just once. But anyway, so obviously there are certain tasks that you need to do.
Are you trying to kill us all?
And you just kind of look at your surroundings and examine different things, interact with different things, and that's how you get through all of it. It's really kind of simple gameplay-wise.
Well, are your arms getting heavy yet?
The story, you know, on the whole, isn't too bad. But I don't want to say too much about it, because really, the vast majority of anything that you would play this game for would be the story. Now, this is number 2 in the series, which left me confused at some moments, because I didn't have a chance to play the first game, or didn't really know much about the first game before this. So there were certain things regarding certain characters where it's like, I don't even know what's going on here.
Ah, the savior of the worlds.
Anyway, spoiler alert, question mark? That was kind of the very end of the game that I just did there. But anyway, okay. I'm just gonna go back to the main menu. There really isn't too much else to say about this game. I'm not even entirely sure when this game came out, but you know, the graphics aren't too terribly old. They're not the greatest, but they're not too terribly old. And you know, it just kind of is the kind of game that it is. I don't have anything overly negative to say about it because, you know, half the purpose of these games is for you to explore and, you know, look at everything, like look at your surroundings, try different combinations of items when needed. It does get a little bit bothersome that at times, you know, you have to combine things or do things in a certain order that you wouldn't necessarily think of. And that is a little frustrating, but I think that just kind of comes with the territory of this style of game. So I can't really knock the game as a whole for that. You know, within, you know, compared to other games of this sort, I can't really say it's bad. But at the same time, I'm not really the biggest fan of that aspect of these kinds of games. I mean, I like the exploring and the, you know, puzzle solving and different things like that. But again, like, just the lack of not even necessarily a lack of direction, but like just the sheer lack of how obvious some of the necessary actions are at certain times. It kind of confuses me a little bit. And it definitely confused me a bit playing through this. That's why I had to look up some of the solutions and, you know, ultimately rely on that to know what to do at certain points. Because, like, I wouldn't necessarily think this... I don't know if this actually happened within the game, but there was something like this where it's like, oh yeah, I'm in the middle of this castle in a dark forest after having been at a certain campsite in like a ghost town, and then going through the woods to find said castle. Like, as I'm doing stuff in the castle, there are certain things where it's like, I wouldn't think to necessarily go back to the town and talk to this person again about this thing that I'm doing in the castle. So the backtracking and that kind of stuff is, I think that's something that pretty much all gamers can agree. It's not always fun having to backtrack to certain areas just to complete different fetch quests and whatnot, when, you know, especially when it's not really obvious that that's what you need to do. So again, just that seems to come with the territory, though, of this type of game as a whole. If you make it really, really easy, then it's like not really a game anymore so much as it is just an interactive story, which isn't necessarily a problem on its own, but you know, the main point is to actually figure things out on your own and take the effort to explore the area, look at everything, try different combinations of items. So, like, I don't like it, but I can't knock it too hard for that, basically, is what I'm saying. So I think this is one of those games that's going to have to go into the, like, good but not great category. I did enjoy kind of the story aspects of it, and, you know, even certain amounts of progress that I could make on my own, that was good and fine. But it was just when things weren't so obvious that it kind of became a drag, because it was like, well, now you're just getting me frustrated with the lack of progress that I'm making. So anyway, score-wise, maybe 7-ish out of 10 on this. I would give it an 8 were it not for the, like, you know, the stuff that I talked about, where it's like you can't even really tell what to do sometimes. At least it starts off fairly obvious, so it eases you into being confusing, at least. But I was stuck at certain parts for way longer than I needed to be. But again, you know, 8 would mean it's a fairly solid game. Like, 7 I think is okay, just because, like, you know, I don't want to knock it too hard for basically an element of the gameplay that pretty much comes with this type of game. Anybody who enjoys this type of game more and is more familiar with it and plays a lot of this type of game, it probably wouldn't be an issue. But personally, I don't enjoy it as much because of things like that. Even if there was just like some extra hint option or something, that would be helpful. But anyway, so yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with a 7 out of 10, maybe 6.5. It's not bad on the whole, and if you look up a guide, it's, you know, you could just I think the best approach if you get stuck is, you know, use a guide for the parts you get stuck on, but otherwise try and do it yourself, because otherwise you lose the immersion if you rely too heavily on a guide, I think. But anyway, I'm just kind of rambling on. I think I'll just go with my gut and stick with 7 out of 10 for this game, because, you know, story-wise, I thought it was okay. Again, good, not great. In terms of the actual gameplay itself, and, you know, for the most part, it wasn't too difficult to figure out what to do. There were just certain moments here and there. So, yeah. Good, but not great, again. For the last time, I will say that. So, yeah. I don't really... There's not really too much to... not really too much else to show you. Why would you select Chapter 5 for a new game? That's kind of confusing. Yeah, it's hard to really tell or show you much else about this game without playing it and getting into the story a lot. I guess I'll show you the initial little scene here. But again, so it's like, I come in on this, and okay, I'm just gonna skip. He's reading a thing.
Who was supposed to spend the rest of his life at the side of an elven princess, who deserved a kingdom and all the riches in the world.
Yeah, mouth movements. You can tell it wasn't exactly motion captured all that great. But, like, the fact that this is game number 2, it's like, okay, why is he falling? What in the world?
Good. This is good. Although the ground is still...
This is definitely not a game that takes itself too seriously. But it's like, it's just serious enough to have a story. And if there was such a thing as video game sins, I'm sure there would be stuff right there about, like, how, okay, that's not how gravity works. But yeah.
If I'm lucky, this will go all the way up to the island. But somehow I really doubt it will.
So the general story revolves around 3 characters in particular. This one's name is Nate. There's the elven princess Ivo, and there's the gnome wizard who goes by Wilbur. There are other fairly significant characters, but those are the main ones in the story. And it's just, it kind of goes around at different times between the characters.
No big thing. So, now that we have a little time to kill, why don't you tell me a little something about yourself?
Oh, right. Well, yes, I came in...
Yeah, so...
Are you out of your... Definitely not the time to reminisce.
Then,
I can...
well...
Time to...
Anyway, so yeah, a lot of the dialogue, it's, you just choose.
Can't you just stop time? Or wings! Give me wings!
And then
How
you've
about
seen kind of the other parts a little bit where you're just kind of moving around, examining, interacting with the scenery and such. So yeah,
You get me out
this
of
is
the
not
mess
this is not a game that's gameplay heavy. It really is meant to be more of an interactive game, or sorry, interactive story. So
Stay easy and we can forget about
yeah.
miracles.
Anyway,
Gotta find something easy, something
all right, I'm gonna stop it there because I think I've shown you enough. There's really nothing else to show in this game as far as how it works. So 6.5 to 7-ish. Again, I think is the proper rating to go with on this game. So anyway, I've said enough and rambled around in circles, I think, a couple of times. And I've shown you all there really is to show you. So that is going to have to do it for now, I guess. So yeah, that is those are my thoughts on the Book of Unwritten Tales 2. Again, I have no clue what the first game was like to be able to talk about any improvements or changes or anything like that, or to even know the story continuation. But anyway, if you know anything about that, leave a comment down below, as well as any other thoughts on this game or other video ideas you have for me. Otherwise, that's all I really have to say. So, like and share if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell to get updates when I post new stuff. And of course, look down in the description for information on my other social media pages and basically all the information you need to know on how to find, follow, interact with all of my different outlets. And as I said before, leave comments. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. So for now, that'll do it, I guess. As always, I hope you're all doing well. Hopefully, I will see you for the next video. But until then, stay cool, people.